Crusher. Dan Runty and Bigfoot. The hottest truck of the season, David Morris and the Equalizer. The reigning world champion, Jackie Willman and Taurus. The most feared monster truck in the world today, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. And Fred Schaefer's Barefoot. They're all at the Providence Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island for the United States Hot Rod Association Monster Truck Challenge here on ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Like the sign says, the big boys are in the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island for this edition of the USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge. Hi, race fans. I'm Ken Broo. Now, we all know that lane choice is a key element in monster truck racing, right? Not today. The USHRA has built a round racetrack inside the Civic Center at Providence, so the trucks are going to have to deal with both sets of cars on the track. So much for lane choice. And there's an added bonus. There's a mud racing pit in the middle of everything, which means the drivers are going to have to try to keep their turns tight so they can slide on the mud and stay on the track. Experience behind the wheel should be a big factor on this track. Newer drivers like the Gravediggers Lyle Hancock and Dan Runty and Bigfoot, they might get a lesson or two from veterans like Fred Schaefer of Barefoot fame and Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. And don't forget, the defending world champion Jackie Willman and the red-hot David Morris plan to have something to do with who wins this title in Providence. Now, with all that said, let's set the stage for the first round of racing. Dan Runty and Bigfoot and David Morris and Equalizer start things off. The second race will pit Lyle Hancock and Gravedigger against Jackie Willman in the new and improved version of the Taurus racing machine. Then, veteran Fred Schaefer will race against another old pro, Gary Porter. You know how it works. The three winners and the fastest loser from round one go on to the semifinals. The trucks are ready. So is the voice of USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge, Joe Lowe. Fasten your seatbelts, check your rear steer, because it's time to turn on the power. Here's Joe.
Thank you very much, Ken. The crowd is ready to see racing action, round-and-round racing action between the Equalizer and Bigfoot. Dan Runty up in the Bigfoot Monster Truck talked about a round-and-round course.
Circular track versus straight track, what do you like better?
I like this better. There's a little more, what am I trying to say, a little more competition in it, a little more driver skill in it.
And he's got driver skill. That is Dan Runty driving the Bigfoot Monster Truck out of St. Louis, Missouri. But his competition is from Springfield, Tennessee, the guy who's been winning everything so far this season, David Morris and the Equalizer.
It looks like maybe one track is going to be a little bit better than the other one. I think one of them's getting more air than the other track is. So I've got fast time, so I'm going to try to stay on the take off on the side that maybe gets the less air, but both trucks will have to run on both sides because we're doing a round course, so it's going to be a tough course.
Excellent point from David Morris, the Equalizer, but that starting point could have a whole lot to do with it, especially with reaction time off the line. The crowd is ready, the trucks are ready, and here we go. Look at this. They're both sailing through the air, making that turn. The rear steer being used by both monster trucks extremely well. Bigfoot with a slight edge. The Equalizer having to play catch-up, and uh-oh! Look what happened to Bigfoot. He took out the turn pole. Bigfoot, Dan Runty, wins the race, but he took out the turn pole, and that's going to cost him a win. He's getting the news right now, and this is where it happened. Bigfoot makes the turn, takes out that pole. He must clear that pole. He did not do it. He came around. He does get the win. He was the first one over the finish line, but he took out that turn pole. He's disqualified, and a tough break for the big blue Ford from St. Louis, Missouri. He was looking great. He had that rear steer locked in. David Morris was playing catch-up. Everything looked like it was going Bigfoot's way. But alas and alack, that pole tells the tale laying down. It cost him. So as you can see, Bigfoot Bigfoot first over the line. And unfortunately, he may be the first one on the trailer here at Providence. Our next matchup between the Gravedigger and Taurus. Lyle Hancock up in the cockpit of Gravedigger. Jackie Willman of Taurus is the world champion. And we asked him about this unique course and driving that new truck.
Talk about the struggles in driving a new truck.
It's just the suspension's a lot more softer. It's got a lot more body roll. It's just a lot more hard to keep on the track.
And he's going to have to keep it on this round course. There's Jackie Willman, Taurus, the world champion. But the world champ is going up against Gravedigger for this matchup. Round racing, there they go. Gravedigger with a big lead. Jackie Willman having to turn it around, use the rear steer. Great job there. Now, oh, look at this. Lyle Hancock having some problem with Gravedigger. Jackie Willman makes the turn, a wide one, while the Gravedigger cannot make that turn and takes out a pole. It cost him, as it did Bigfoot. So we have the Bigfoot monster truck, and in this race we just saw, Gravedigger took out the pole. It happens right here. As it comes around, bing, you're out of there. It cost you the race. You must clear that pole on the turn. Next up, Fred Schaefer and Barefoot, and this guy's a veteran. He has some thoughts on this rather tough track.
It's muddy, of course, on the end where the mud racers are throwing mud at. This end's got sand for the mud racers to stop, so it's pretty tricky on both ends.
One more question. With a full house out there to get you pumped up a little bit?
Yeah, I get crazy for a big crowd.
Let's see what's going to happen. Fred Schaefer at Pontoon Beach, Illinois with Barefoot going up against Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. And Gary is a true competitor. We call him the Lone Wolf. He travels by himself on the circuit. Barefoot, Carolina Crusher on the start. Side by side, they go over the cars. Meet in the middle, turn around. And Porter has problems. Porter has problems on that turn 2. Barefoot's just smoking them. And Gary Porter doesn't even have a shot at this one before Fred Schaefer wins it. And look at the pole. It just falls down on its own. It says everybody else has knocked me down, but nobody got close to him on that one. The win goes to Fred Schaefer and Barefoot. And Gary Porter's just sitting there scratching his head on that one. Fred Schaefer, look at that use of rear steer. He's got that thing dialed in. Over the cars. Just a beautiful run for the big Chevrolet Barefoot and Fred Schaefer. He was the world champion in 1990. He'd love to have it again in 92. And Fred Schaefer taking advantage of the problems Gary Porter having. So the Barefoot Monster Truck moves on to our next round of Monster Truck Challenge. From Providence, it's back to you, Ken.
Don't you love the round racing? I love it. And as we expected, driving experience played a key role in round 1. The winners were 3 guys who have run on every kind of track imaginable. David Morris gets equalizer into the second round, mostly because the youngster Dan Runte got excited and took a turn too tight. Same thing happened to Gravedigger's new driver, Lyle Hancock. He took out the pole in his race against Jackie Willman. So, Taurus moves on to round 2. Gary Porter was a little too reserved in his driving. So Fred Schaefer is in the semifinals. We'll have all that action coming up for you when USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge continues from Providence in just a moment.